Well, cycling advocates are protesting the Ford government's decision to rip up bike lanes.
TV24's Beatrice Aisman is live at Queen's Park this morning, where some cyclists are going to be showing up, and they're already there showing their disapproval.
Yeah, they are, Nick and Courtney. I mean, look, this is a very contentious issue. Bill 212 that the Premier introduced last year. Obviously, cyclists taking umbrage with the fact that the Premier wants to rip up these bike lanes on Bloor, Yonge and University, and that's why these several dozen cyclists are here to protest against it. I've got Marcel Jansen. He's one of the organizers of Fridays for Future in this event. Marcel, tell me about, I guess, the importance of this event. Why did you want to be here? Why did you organize this?
Why did I personally help organize this? About a month and a half ago, my father died. And every time, we knew he was going to pass for about a year before he went. And every time we went to see him, about once a week, we would take our bikes, because that saved us about an hour round trip. That means that because of my bike, I got to spend an extra 52 hours with my father. That stretched out time that we had for our last Christmas, our last New Year's, our last summer day together. And Doug Ford wants to take that away. This policy of removing Toronto's bike lanes is going to not just rob people here of time with their families, but it's going to lead to more dead fathers, more dead children, and more dead mothers. It's unacceptable.
Thank you for sharing that with me and with our viewers, too. Tell me, Marcel, about why you, and I'm imagining all the people here behind you, believe that removing bike lanes would put cyclists at risk. Why? The Premier says that's not the case. It's going to get people moving faster. Everything's going to be great. Why do you contend that?
Because the Premier's own study done by CIME and released during the injunction hearing showed that the government knows that this will not reduce traffic. They found that it would have negligible to no impact on traffic times and would increase collisions by 54%. On top of all of that, this is an economic issue, because the Bloor Annex BIA, which represents companies along the Bloor Strip where the bike lanes are that he's trying to remove, came forward and said that their companies had an increase in business after the bike lanes went in. So in the middle of a trade war, Doug Ford is spending $50 million to make traffic worse, kill cyclists, harm our environment, and harm local businesses.
Premier Marcel says he's not against bike lanes, he's just against them on major arteries. Is there a point to be made in terms of moving these bike lanes or building more of them even on side streets, on streets that maybe aren't the main roads that people have to navigate to get around the city?
Simply put, no. Even the CIME study said that there are no meaningful alternatives to putting these bike lanes on the main thoroughfares. The bike lanes are on the main thoroughfares for the same reason the cars are on those thoroughfares, because it's the most efficient way to move people around. If you take them and move them to side streets, it massively increases the amount of time it takes to get anywhere, because you're making all of these turns, because the side streets are not straight like the main thoroughfares are.
And finally, when it comes to timing, we've heard some point in the spring this is going to start happening, that the Premier has hired a contracting group to look into the design and how this is all going to work. I guess, what are the fears for cyclists as we don't really know what the timeline looks like for the Premier and this government?
The fears are that he's going to start ripping them out on March 20th. That's the earliest that they said they would begin removing them. And the fears are that we're going to be seeing more dead mothers and fathers and children. Those are our fears, and that we won't be able to see our loved ones in time.
Marcel Jansen, thank you for your time. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And so, I mean, you're seeing signs like this, deny the demolition, cyclists bringing all kinds of messages here to the Premier, and they're going to start moving from Queen's Park down one of the bike lanes in the core as well. And so we'll continue to have these conversations until these cyclists depart. But certainly some strong words for the Premier and his government, who are planning to start removing these bike lanes on Bloor, on Yonge, on University at some point this spring. Back to you.
Yeah, and a pretty good turnout at Queen's Park this morning for this rally and protest ride. That is Beatrice Aisman live at Queen's Park. B, thanks. We'll look forward to updates from you throughout the morning.